girl, them all a for the, them a cry for the, them a fight for the, them a dead over here. All a for the, them a fight for the, them a cry for the, them a mad over girl, them all a for the, them a cry for the, them a fight for the, them a dead over here. All a for the, them a cry for the, them a fight for the, them a kill over here.
Miserable people fear death.
Miserable.
Don't you think? Miserable people fear death. Why would you be afraid to die? There's nothing wrong with dying.
Well, I see it in a different way, where rich people, unless they're miserable, but rich people fear death because they just want to be around forever to use up all of that. And not even use it up, just get more of it. I think that's their biggest problem, get more of it. And if they're miserable, it's because of that nature. Yes, I have 450 billion. I want more of that, because I know how to get it. So I was just questioning that, myself recently. I'm thinking, why do people want to fear death? Because you don't know if anything comes next. And even if it does, big deal. You just deal with it, So, like, on a Christian level, and I would assume other religions have this, but on the Christian level where they will say, well, you may or may not go to heaven or hell and such, okay? So, if there is a heaven,
sorry.
If there is a heaven, then yeah, great. You get there and it's all milk and honey, as they say. But in my mind, this is what bugs a lot of Christians. I tell them, if there is a hell, big deal. I'll get used to it. Okay, so if it's gonna be forever, I'll be fine. I'll get used to that.
At one point, you're gonna say, "Man, I've been burning for years. This shit is hard."
Thousands of years.
That's like being people that go to the hospital are in pain for a long time. They don't get used to that.
No, but that kind of painful whatever there. Okay, getting used to it, the way I'm looking at it, and is that in your mind, it starts in your mind. You don't have a choice, right? In a hospital, you have hope. But if there's such a thing as hell and you're there, there's no hope. There's nothing that's going to be different. That this is it. So you become accepting of that, right?
Yeah.
And so, you're just setting up yourself there. Let's just deal with it and such. But also the other logic to that is you're a spirit. You're not going to feel jack.
So that we can talk about. The difference. Okay. You know what the difference between the spirit, soul, the difference between the spirit, body, mind, soul? A lot of people get this misconstrued. They don't actually know the difference. You know it?
I know what a body difference would be. I can't determine what a spirit difference would be.
So the soul is the whole thing.
Yeah.
The soul is the whole being. That's the soul. Then you have the spirit. So the spirit exists up here. The mind exists here in between. And then the body's here. You have the spirit, the mind, and the body. And all of that is the soul. Mind, body, spirit complex, because it's a thing of multiple parts. A complex thing. Shout out to Ra there for that insight. But the soul, when people say we're spirits, I guess the spirit is a part of your soul that is the most sane level. That's why we try to become more spiritual, because we're trying to strive towards that part of our mind, or it's not even a part of our mind, but we're trying to strive towards a vibration within our soul that would allow our mind to be in a more, whole state. Versus when you become more body focused, you become more physical. That's when they say you become more worldly. And you lose sight of that mechanism. That spirit is a mechanism. It's like a shuttle that speaks to the infinite creator, or is like a link towards infinite intelligence that brings down whatever infinite intelligence is, or the thinking, or what have you, brings it down into the mind. And then the mind deals with it as such and will pour it down into the body. So, I'm going to say that, it's a little definition there. Might make a viral reel, you never know.
So here's how I applied that concept then, is, say I'm training, or anything I'm doing then, it's the whole thing about mind over matter. Matter being the body, where the body is starting to say,
what's funny, and you talk about training, that's why people say, if you have I have the spirit of this or the spirit of that, in order to get this accomplished, I need the spirit of, because spirit's more of a thought. Which everything's thought, but spirit's more of a it's you can be under the spirit of something evil, quote unquote, negative. Really, there's no such thing as evil, at least in my mind. But spirit, in that sense, because a lot of people get this confused, and you have to really understand, your spirit is just a shuttle. It's like you getting in a plane to go from A to B, or you using the mailing system to mail your thing from A to B, from California to Tampa. Your spirit is that shuttle that brings it from this destination to that destination. That's what your spirit does. So when but your spirit is the most purest form of your soul. It's the aspect of you that's perfect. So when you reach your spirit, you're in tune with your spirit when you're feeling peace, true peace, joy, all those emotions, beautiful emotions. You're pulling away from it when you're feeling negativity, anger, frustration, jealousy, all those things. So, and a lot of times when you're feeling that is because you're out of the beingness and understanding of oneness, which is what your spirit is communicating back to you from the infinite creator. Because the infinite creator, or I don't even think it's infinite creator, but infinite intelligence, there's nothing actually created. But infinite intelligence has this message or this thought, original thought, that's broken down or that's perceived in multitude of ways and distorted, and it goes down into your mind if you can, if your mind's trying to perceive this infinite thought or this spirit. And the clearer you have that picture in your head, the more spiritual you become. And then that's why they say, I have the spirit of Jesus within me or around me, the spirit of this. The spirit's not a person. It's not like the spirit of Jesus is in form, because that would be his body, and that would be his mind that creates the body and creates that form. The spirit is the thought that motivates you to do whatever you're doing. The spirit is the mechanism that reaches whatever power you need to bring you the thought, to bring you the vibration that you need, that it's in tune with. So I kind of wanted to say that.
All right, but so here it is then. How do you communicate with that then? Right, to get to that level where your spirit, you've brought it up. Because, so I've been thinking of it as an imagination. All that is what I would be thinking of. As you mentioned, a person might just say, I'm seeing the spirit of Jesus, or I'm feeling the spirit of Jesus.
And when you say you'd be thinking of it as an imagination, do you mean that that's not real, or?
Yeah, so especially on the, because you mentioned,
now about the striker chord. Okay. Stuff that we always talk about to get it on camera. Let's go.
Okay. But here's the thing, because you mentioned the Jesus factor. So because in my mind there is no such entity, no deity like that, nobody like that existed in my mind, right? Mm-hmm. Based on a lot of information. So because of that, then anyone saying to me that I'm feeling the spirit of Jesus, or I'm seeing the spirit of Jesus, to me then it's just them tapping their imagination. They've been given information via their belief, their church and all that. They've been given that information and they've converted that now into an imagination. And that gives them the sensation they have that this is Jesus. I'm feeling this. Let me just run around and rip up some stuff because Jesus is working through me right now. To me, that's all imagination. However, that could be considered spiritual because it's them conjuring something that has just been brought to them in their mind, and they've conjured it and they've turned it now into something real for them, that is, right? At that particular moment, they've turned it into something real and they're just going to express it, either in excessive joy or what somebody else might consider insanity happening, as in the church when they're speaking in the tongues and so on and so on. Nobody knows what this is, but they're doing it anyway, and to them, they truly believe it. This is the spirit of something, right? But to me, they've imagined these.
So do you think imagination is false? It's not real?
No, it's not about the false, but the person can control what they've imagined. So they can determine
I can control a car, but it's still existing.
Okay, right. But the difference is, the car, you're going to control it, and, it goes left, right, whatever, and such. A person who goes into us,
kissing my daughter. She's in the background, just listening very quietly.
Yeah. A person who goes off in a spiritual rant then of sorts, right, can become destructive, right? And they're going to say that it's because I was possessed by whatever, and so they now have something they're going to blame.
By the spirit of.
Right, and they can do whatever. But it's really an imagination. They've conjured this because they want it to be real so bad. They've turned it into something real, is my belief. So yes, in that sense, they can control that, and whatever they've conjured is not real. That thing they're seeing is not real. The Jason, the Freddy Krueger coming through.
So what makes something real to you?
As long as I can touch it. If I can see it and touch it, it is
But
absolutely real.
you can touch your imagination. In a way.
How so? Okay.
If you believe something is after you, your body reacts in the same way that thing is after you. So you're feeling everything you would feel if that thing was after you. When you dream, you can dream and your vitals and all that. When you lie, your mind is so much in control of your body that when you lie, they can detect it on the lie detector. It changes your heart rate, it changes this, it changes that.
Mm.
The problem is
And you attribute that to spirit?
attributed to mind over matter. Mind is matter. A lot of people say mind over matter. Mind is matter. Is that matter? Most people are trapped in their own creation, in the sense that most people don't understand that the world is their own creation or perception, and therefore they don't understand how they control it, and that's why they're trapped within it. And so in order to get out of it, they have to transmute their own miscreations, which is actually part and parcel why we're doing this podcast, because I got a message recently that this stuff needs to start getting out. Yeah, I know. He's making a weird face like, I went in my top boat, but I'm gonna have to be completely real now, more and more so with everybody. And I'm glad we're on this platform because whoever watches it is gonna know exactly how I think.
Well, you mentioned that you got a message. I'm curious about that, but go on.
Yeah, man. It's just, the things have
The
to roll.
spirit spoke
It's
to
time to
the
move
eye.
forward.
Okay,
You know?
okay.
The world must
because that said, because I've been checking out a lot of these spiritual Afro guys. Okay.
Yeah, they're not full of fuku. But let's well let's
speak to the ancestors.
Yeah. Let's check this out.
All right.
So if your body, right, your heart rate changes, because ChatGPT right here, I just wanted to bring that up. Heart rate changes, your breathing shifts, your hormones respond, your emotions activate, your energy centers react. We talk about energy centers.
But those are real body reactions, though.
It shows
That's
that
real.
imagination is real. Because I can get you also to imagine what I'm imagining. And you can feel that. You can feel that sensation.
I was about to say the act of imagination is real, but what you imagine is not real.
But it affects you as real as anything would be. So if I put you in the Apple Vision Pro, you can begin to believe it's real. I know my brother, shout out to my brother, Martindale McClymont Jr., Martindale Francis McClymont Jr. Dale baby! But I know one time Dale, we were at, he was working at, Windows, and he put on the goggles on us. And we were like, in this underground world or whatever it was, just in the water, like standing on a ship or something. And he does it to everybody, pushes them over, they go, ha! And then when it doesn't actually happen, they realize, oh, this shit, it wasn't real, but they were so caught up in it. But that's them, that person, that machine is giving your mind a picture and you're believing in it. And so while you're in it, you are reacting physically to that thing. So as you're saying it's not actually there, it's not actually real, it's being experienced as a real experience.
Okay.
So,
but that person did not transmit
says,
his imagination to somebody else, though.
How not?
Because that is something you're literally seeing. Remember what I said earlier. Real to me is what I can see and or what I can touch.
But you can touch your heart rate going up and down.
No,
say what again?
These things,
say
part of
what
real. I'm saying,
again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more goddamn time.
But I just told you that whole story. You imagined it. You might have imagined it differently. But when we all watch
the point I'm
but when
getting
we watch a movie, or when I go out and look at if we both see a lion together, we might come back with two different stories. No, that's not what happened. It happened like this.
Of the same real lion.
The same real lion. Well, I saw this on the lion. Well, you saw. Okay. We're going to perceive things differently regardless because we're two different minds. We intake everything differently.
But the whole situation was real.
The brain is what's telling you this is happening. Right now, we could both be schizophrenic and this isn't happening at all. Right now, you may not exist. So I'm just saying, forget what's real because all that matters is the end result, how it affects you. Because a lot of people right now are living in a world that's not real. They're living without spiritual awareness and within spiritual ignorance, believing that the things that they believe in are real, and therefore they are being controlled by real negative entities that know how to control them through perception. So we're living in a fake world just by our beliefs of what the world is in the first place. But we say that that's real. This is how this really works. These are the facts. and then we change that 5 years from now because we didn't have the facts. We didn't have what's really going on, right? At least from what we understand, the sun doesn't change. It's really out there, quote unquote. It stayed the same since we were born and since we end. You know, when we're born and when we die. The only thing that changes is the things that we don't actually truly know. We don't really know anything. But a lot of those things are all these perceptions we build up in life. We believe something from age 1 to 20 or 1 to 10, and from 10 to 20, and from 20 to 40. We have all these beliefs. By the time we're 80, we're the same person, but we're looking at things a bit differently, showing that we didn't really know what we were talking about, unless we're just arrogant, ignorant, or and we're just believing the same things we believed at 20, which is showing lack of growth, which is also why we age, by the way. But the point is when you're saying, well, people are imagining these things and it's not real, and you know, what's the point in what you're saying? Because it's real to them and it's creating a real experience that if other people believe it, it's real, right? Like if whatever celebrity gets on stage, I'm not going to mention any names, but if presidents or whoever get on stage or whatever and say, this is what's going on in the world, people react to that thing as if it's real, even if that president is full of BS.
Okay.
So real is what you say is real.
Right, and that's
and it
always...
can really affect you. And how do we know that the mass mind can't create a real experience? We don't know that.
I've heard all that. People say, you know, people praying in masses can change whatever and such and such and such. To me, that's just Murphy's Law. They can pray for the next 10 years. One day something
will
happen.
Well, they have that doctor that did the water experiment. Hold on. The doctor that did the water experiment, it might be, you know, be full of BS for that.
Right, we just take his word for it.
But let's just take his word for it. Right? Yeah, the doctor that, because we take a lot of people's word for it. We know about a lot of studies that are told to us, but they're just studies.
I've never seen a real zebra.
I've never seen one either.
But they tell me it has stripes on it.
And I'm like, no, it's not AI. Maybe the government had this technology back in 18.
So that in that sense then has not been real to me yet, is what I'm saying, right?
Well,
so
it's not real to you.
No, I'm saying a real zebra. I've never seen one, right? And therefore, everything that I've seen, images and all that, that says it is. And, you know, after I've seen 1,000 of those images, to me, then it must be real because that is what these images have shown me. However, in my reality, it has not yet happened.
And everything a magician does on stage is real until you see behind the illusion.
Okay, but the point I'm getting at is...
How do you know your mind hasn't been trained to believe what's fake is real and to believe what's real is fake?
Yes, that is a possibility because that's all conspiracy theories get...
No, I'm saying, how do you know your mind hasn't been trained that way? You don't.
From birth, something has just formatted my mind.
Because from birth, somebody told you, if you can't do this, it's not real. How do you know that's true? Because your dreams really affect you. And people dream all the time. It's a well-known fact about something occurring, about someone being pregnant without even knowing about it. And it happens. And then scientists will say, I mean, I know there's that thing out there about, oh, well, because your mind is hearing many different things, and if someone over there says something, blah, blah, blah. The point is a mom can have mom can live in Tampa, Florida, and her child lives in Alaska, and her child gets pregnant. She has a dream and says, hey, are you pregnant? And the child is pregnant. Now, granted, the mom can say that all her life and just finally get right. A broken clock is right 2 times out of the day. But there's a lot of people that have those experiences. There's people that have shared dream experiences where they wake up and they tell each other the same dream that they both just had, showing that minds can be linked together. So, in a sense, it's real, but maybe it's just not real enough to the extent to where it needs to be physically real. Meaning it doesn't need to be physically manifest to be real. Why does it, right? You can touch it, whatever, right? But do you need to manifest everything in your computer as a physical reality for it to not be real in that computer? Right? Facebook is real in a computer. Things can be real in another dimension. The things that we imagine are real in that dimension. Just because you don't have a printer and know how to print it out, just because you don't know how to go into the coding of Facebook and get that code and extract that code and make it a real tangible thing, doesn't mean it's not real. It just means you don't know how to access that dimension.
Exactly, but as I've said, it's either...
Inside, please. Go inside.
Dad.
Go inside. Go talk to your mother, please. Yeah?
It's either, as I said, seen, which Facebook I can see and such and do stuff on it and that. So that brings it to me as real, right? My thought is this, where, so, you know, I've been through the church system, so I'm getting down and all that, but The people who I've seen who can really make everything they're talking about become real, just to them.
Yeah, but you see, forget, like the word real mean become physical. Become physical manifest.
Well, some of them do believe that they've manifested certain things, right? So they'll say, you know, I prayed to God for a car and I got a car whenever, you know, at some point I got a car or whatever. So to them, it's the prayer that they did that brought that car in. They have not looked at the other aspects, right? I went to work, I saved my money, I was able to buy the car 6 months down the line. They've just attributed it all to the prayer they did 6 months ago. So what I'm saying is, if you put aside all that part of it,
people are just saying that. Those are actually people that actually believe it, because if you point a gun at their head and they really believe prayer was so powerful, they wouldn't be afraid of you while you're pointing at them. Dear Lord, please. They wouldn't be doing that. They would just
thank you.
They would just say well, that's another subject.
Well, they're going to heaven.
But they would just be saying a prayer of peace and love and accept what's happening, because they would know that whatever happens, their prayer is going to manifest the best outcome. That's how you know they don't actually believe in their prayer, in my opinion.
Well, so it just comes back down to, as you were saying about the spiritual side of it all, where I'm just thinking that anything that's considered spiritual, again, not trying to berate anybody, but to me it's just, you know, an imagination then is what that is. And a lot of this is because I've never had the experience. It's because I've never had any experience.
An imagination, because you're trying to attribute an imagination as that's something that only you experience, and therefore it's not real to all of us.
No. What I'm saying then is that imagination can be controlled.
Everyone that imagines Jesus in the church is actually experiencing Jesus in their own way. They are.
Okay.
As a real experience. If we all watch a movie together, it's not actually happening, but our body is responding to that movie as if it's happening.
Okay.
And then we have dreams about it, and our body transforms to what's happening on the screen. So much so that there's certain movies and things people can't watch that can make them sick, that can make them react, that can raise their heart rate, all that. So it's as real as, so even though they know it's a movie, but they feel a real experience from it. So it's a real experience.
Oh yeah, well that part of it is for sure. That's the reason these movies are done like that.
People that are saying about Jesus and talking to them, even though it's not 100%, and his name is really Jehoshua, it's a real experience to them as much as anything else you experience is real. So therefore, it doesn't matter if it's real in the physical sense, it's going to be experienced as being real.
Yeah, man, and that I've agreed with, that the experience itself is very real because it is happening right there. A guy who imagined it.
So then why even attribute it? Oh, that's just their imagination.
Because I'm saying they can then control it. So the person who gets
but in everything in life you can control it.
Yeah, man, but listen what I'm saying here. So you can imagine it, but the person who can't separate reality from the imagination and decides, I've heard this dog talking to me.
See, because you see how you differentiate between reality from imagination? It is a part of reality. It exists within reality, right? Therefore, if it can't exist outside of reality, it is reality. If the imagination exists within someone or something that's real, it's a part of reality itself. That's why we can imagine things and then we create them, planes, things of that nature.
So, for those of you who think he's on point, just go ahead and like this video because that would show that you must agree with what he's saying.
And if you think he's on point, go ahead and like it and comment. And if you're just utterly like, what's the point of this conversation? It's just talking. Because there's someone...
Well, it is tapping into spirituality, which is very important, as many people, you know, dig into it and try to find why am I having this thought? Why has this not happened?
My goal here is to blur the lines of reality. People say real as if, oh, that's not real. As if it debunks the experience of that person. And if I can get you to believe something is real, now we're both in that same experience. What people don't understand is most people are under the illusion of power from the government, from this, from that, and therefore they are controlled by these entities. I don't know how it was in slavery. God bless anyone that knows or whatever. I don't know if it even really existed because I wasn't there. But the idea of a massa controlling this many people through mental, psychological manipulation by getting them to believe these things are real, these things aren't, is a real experience for them. How do we know whatever we're here now thinking? We're told from young, this is what you're experiencing. This thing is real. This is that. This is. How do we know we're even having this conversation? We don't. So what I'm saying is broaden the concept of real, and now you just broaden it to if I can experience it, it's real.
Okay.
Because I'm just saying, even your body is experiencing those things, showing you that on some level it's real to your body. That your mind, it's real. There might be a portion of your mind, right? Like if I want to believe that I'm not actually thirsty or hungry or I don't need water, well, guess what? Here's the kicker. The body tells you otherwise. And the funny thing is the body is so real, not really real, it's a part of the physical illusion, but it's so real that people say, well, this is the world, I don't believe unless I feel it, touch it. The body always tells you what's going on within the mind, which is the more real thing. And you tell your body, or you say, if I can't touch it, it's not real. And I'm saying to you, your body is touching your imagination. It can feel everything you imagine throughout the entire day. Everything that you're going through, sickness, health, your body is feeling it and touching it. I have a point here. I'm forgetting my point. But you then are saying, well, if I can't feel it and touch it, it's not real. When you say if I can, who's saying that?
Okay.
It's not your body. It's the real part of you.
Body.
Oh. Your body is feeling that. But you're saying, I'm not.
If I'm using my mind to
your
control
consciousness that's more real than your body thinks that the body is so real, therefore it must see it or touch it, but your consciousness is also not in tune to your your unconscious mind or your subconscious body that feels, tastes, and touch everything you think and understands that every thought is real. And
yes.
And no, the only reason you
think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying.
No, but I'm saying, okay, go ahead.
Okay. What I'm saying is all that is real. Yeah, the body experiencing sickness or hunger or whatever, all that is very real. But the mind, which is also my real part, I can use it to control all that. So let's say I got to get 20 miles down the road before I can get a burger. Starving right now. I can control my body.
You have absolute free will. You control everything in the universe.
Oh yeah?
I'm saying if you can control your body, which also, once again, is a part of everything. Your body is a vibrating mechanism, right? Do you know you can't drop poison in water and not contaminate that water? You live in this world. You have an energy field around you. You are the energy field. You are energy within another pool of energy. So you are water within water. If a water molecule was so able to get so potent and so strong that it could change the rest of the water, that means it is in control of the whole thing because it is the water. It only becomes a drop of water when you take it out and look at it and isolate it. But while it's in the water, it's the whole entire thing. So if a small bacteria growth within the water can turn into more bacteria in the water, why can't a small bacterial growth or vibration of yourself control the whole thing? It is. You just don't understand that. This is what I'm saying. You're saying I'm not feeling it, saying it, tasting it, touching it. Therefore, it's not real. But there's a part of you that feels, tastes, and touch everything. That's your mind. Your body is cut off at feeling this or feeling the sickness when it finally happens. Then you're also unaware of when your heart rate's going up. You're just out of tune with that. You're not focused on that. But there's beyond just your body's vibrating and all that, controlling the outer atmosphere. Showing that you control from here out, which really means you control everything. Because there's no separation. So I'm just saying, I know this seems to be veering off track, but the point is I'm trying to blur the lines. I'm literally trying to blur the lines for those who are watching. You can't make sense of something until you break down an ideology first. And I have to break down, in a sense, the ideology that, well, there's the real world, and there's the dream world, and there's all these probably so-called scientists and whoever. I'm coming for you, by the way. All these people out here that are spreading these false narratives with their degrees and this and that they know everything because they tested this and that. Well, if you put simple logic in things and you equate it, you understand, right? The air that we're breathing right now is one air, okay? So much so there's a poison in this air. Me and you would both drop dead. So the energy field we exist in is affecting you, vice versa, so much so that I control everything in this world. It just depends on how potent I am, right? How bright is the light? A light can be this dim, it can be really bright, but it controls the world depending on how strong it is. You have free will to control your mind, your imagination, your body, and the entire world. You just don't know how to tap into that yet. And you're saying because I'm not feeling it, it's not real, but how do you know?
All right, so saying that then, do you think anybody is at that level?
We're all at that level, but we're all not.
No, somebody who's actually using it. Do you think anybody that, I mean,
we're all actually using it.
Let's tap into the celebrities then, right? Guys who have risen from absolute zero to now billionaires and such, right? Let's tap into them because some of them claim that they've actually tapped into that level of spirituality where that is what they've channeled, you know, that success into their life. They literally say this, many of the celebrities. In fact, some of them were part of many different cults, one would say, but they've been part of all these associations that taught them how to, you know, tap the spirituality and bring supreme wealth into their life and, you know, the law of attraction kind of thing. So is that then a form of what you're saying, we're controlling the world, using your spirit and controlling the world? Do you look at it like that? Because to me,
yes and no. The problem is you have a spiritual, everybody's path as to why they should be doing something or not be doing something is different. Some people are here to learn positivity, some are here to learn negativity. Each of those paths contains their own. Positivity is positive power, negativity is negative power. Controlling the other versus using your service, using yourself. Service to others is positivity, service to self, negativity. Using the service that I can give to serve you, which is one with me, demonstrating I understand the oneness of the creation. Positivity, inclusive. Negativity, using the service that I can offer to serve myself through manipulating you, controlling you to serve me, under the idea that we're both separate, still serving the self, which is serving the creator, serving the infinite intelligence, but in a negative way. So just two different paths of the same idea, which is serving the self. One's a positive, inclusive, one's a negative, separated. Now, when people incarnate, they incarnate with a set of like parameters and borders or guidelines that their soul has set, checked off and said, I must stay within this boundary. And whenever I'm off my path, I must cause pain to myself. That's positive and negative. So that means negative beings have to strive towards a certain negativity in order to evolve and live the life that they were designed to live in positive too. And now you've got, let's say now you've got someone that grows up and he's he's negative. And he's supposed to gain a lot of power and wealth and so on and so forth. For him, absolutely, that method would work. Law of attraction, whatever. But let's say someone who's positive and they're here to learn patience. They're here to learn service to others when no one wants to serve them, which is, you know, they're here to give without needing something in return. And depending on what level you choose, right? You can choose level 1 of giving, level 2. You can choose whatever intensity you need to choose when it comes to your spiritual goal and lesson, which some people choose too much. It's like going to college and choosing too many courses. As a spiritual being, you have free will. You can do the same thing. There's free will at every level. So you can misdirect, you can miscreate, you can misjudge even on the incarnate level. And that's why you have guides, spirit guides, things like that, to that nature. The same way the world is, the same way the spiritual is. There is no perfection to the spiritual journey up until the end or at the very beginning, if you want to say that. The Alpha and Omega. But you've got people that are supposed to do it that way, and you've got people that are supposed to do it a different way. That are supposed to... There's some people in this world that are never supposed to be rich because that's the way their soul designed it. So that they could learn what they need to learn. And a lot of that is just really self-centered core emotions. They need to release shame. They need to release guilt. They need to learn how to serve others. They need to learn how to serve. They need to learn how to live without being an ego. There's a lot of people that gain the stuff that they gain it for a sense of ego, to separate themselves and say, I am the greatest. I have done this. I have made achievements. They bring up their personality instead of bringing it down. So they're bringing up the idea of negativity and separation instead of bringing up the idea of positivity and oneness. And that's why they then eventually have the things that they have. And the devil can bless you too, quote unquote, negative entities, can bless you and get you off of your path. which can be a positive one. And then you end up believing that, oh, I did all these things and I got to this level, but there was someone behind you also poking and pushing and pulling buttons for you to get you to that level. Versus somebody else, they might be on a really positive path, their life doesn't look too great, but they're learning the lessons they need to learn. So I don't know if that makes sense fully.
It's where it is.
It's going somewhere.
Right, and as I said, remember, for me, it's working within that. It's trying to get within that realm.
If you want to go, you can go. You don't have to stay in here. Okay?
Oh yeah, if you need it to pass, we can cut this out. That's fine. We can cut it out. Can I get hot and all still?
Yeah, go ahead.
We need to tap the door a little.
Let's don't know how long we've been going. We've been going for a little while. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's 3 minutes to 8. I mean, we can always cut off anytime, but we can't edit all of that. Right, you're saying if internet makes sense, which it does, right? So if get into anything like this now, it requires accepting it, believing in it, right?
Correct.
And so, because even for yourself, you weren't always at that point where you were accepting all this as something real.
And I'm still not at that point fully, but I need to get there.
No, but you're still in a space where it is a factual thing to you, right?
It's a perception that works for me in my life, not fact. And I think this is a big thing. People want facts, but use what works for you and makes you feel good in life. In the sense that it makes you the person you want to be. Which to me is a happy person, a useful person,
yeah, man.
spiritual person.
No. What I'm getting at when I'm saying factual, in the sense where you've accepted this as something that...
As a perception that
you now believe that, right? And
I believe it works for me and it makes sense.
Right, okay. But there had to be a starting point though.
The starting point was confusion. Nobody else was really making sense of it.
Okay. So
including the people out there teaching law of attraction that don't know what they're talking about. Most of you out there teaching law of attraction, you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm not saying that I know everything. I'm a strong believer we all don't know anything. But a lot of you are teaching it like it's a wand you wave, you strive towards something and that's it. There are paths everybody has to take and create. It's not that simple. It's a complex mechanism and a complex thing. Name one thing in life that works that simple anyways. There are things that can work that simple, but most things that are very worth getting and worth having, like this computer, it's a complex mechanism that took many years and it's taking many years to create it to be as simple as you think it is. It works, you push this button, this thing happens. But there's a lot of complexity. There's years of innovation that have gone into this thing. What they tell us could be reverse engineered alien or extraterrestrial technology, which we could talk about another time. But what were we talking about just now?
Why it became real to you, and you were saying that...
I'm just saying it's a perception.
You're still getting into it. You're not fully there.
And this is back on the idea of real, and I think maybe this is what the episode is going to be called. It's real to me, and I choose it to be real because it suits, and we all do this. It suits my personality. It suits what I'm going after. Right? I want it to be real. Most of the things that are real to you, you want it to be real. But I see there's no problem in me wanting this to be real because it gives me such a sense of peace. I wake up in the morning, I know, you know what? I've done my best. I've done this. My life is the way it's supposed to be. And it's made me a better person. It always makes me reflect on my life. Why am I going through this thing and how is it going to make me better? Why am I not rich yet? Why am I not, you know what, maybe I need more patience. Maybe I'm not supposed to be rich. Maybe I'm supposed to just live a life with my family, my wife, my children, and still be happy in that and show my soul. Because you're not your soul. A lot of people don't understand this either. You are not going to go pass away and still be Peter. That's not how it works. You're Denzel Washington playing a character, and when you pass away, you die. That character is dead. So this is a lot of confusion people have. Peter will die. Peter has one life, and you're gone. So you better appreciate. There's no, you incarnate, and I'm going to keep incarnating and live forever. No. The entity that can observe that you're saying all those things and feeling all those things is going to be forever. The awareness. But not as Peter. Because once you take those shackles off and you die and you go back into your soul, you realize that you played all these characters and you become the more full character that you are. So Denzel Washington, when he's in a role, or Will Smith, when they're in a role, whoever, those amazing actors, God bless them both, when they're in that role, when they're channeling that vibration, which is what we're doing now, we're channeling these personas. When we're channeling that vibration, That's it. That's what we are. But once we come out of it, we become the more fuller self of who we are. And I just want to say that. What were you saying earlier?
No, that's cool. That's cool. I was saying, for me to get to the point of accepting it, then I would really have to get down with it. Be around the people who are deep within their spirituality.
It depends on how valuable it is to you, because the only reason you accept things as real is if you see there's a value in accepting it as real.
Why does there have to be a value? Why, like a value, not necessarily in monetary value or anything like that. You're starting with a value,
mental value,
peace
because monetary value is only valuable again because you feel like it has some mental value. You know, so if it's valuable to you to believe that I'm going to go somewhere when I pass away and live a better life, and this life is just, you could just be believing that because you want an excuse for why your life isn't good.
And I think that's really what drives that, is the person who believes it so in depth.
But it also makes a lot of sense.
It gives them that comfort.
What drives it though is it makes a lot of sense because the world works that way. This is the funny part. When people mock spirituality, the world literally works that way. If you go through a lot of pain and suffering, in our world we're taught. See, this is the thing we're talking about. You can be taught something that is told to you is real, but you don't know if it's truly real. And the idea is if you suffer and you go through enough pain in life, you will achieve in the end and get something good. But remember, we're taught that by the same people that are suffering with all their money. We're taught that idea. They teach us that, and that's why we settle into the pain and suffering that we're in, and we wait for a golden, crazy day when we're rewarded for that pain and suffering. It's a very logical, but even though it's an illogical belief, it's a logical belief to believe that after all this pain and suffering, I'm going to be rewarded, because we're taught that. Go to college, go through all that pain and suffering, endure, and you will be rewarded. Go to your job, endure the pain, save up your money, and when you're 60, you will be rewarded. We're given this paradise, futuristic idea all the time, but the true spiritual idea is living right now and reward yourself now by learning how to be happy in this state. This down and dull sucks, but guess what happened? Because you never fixed that leak, because you kept putting a blanket over it and you put something over it that made it invisible, the leak got worse and worse. So now every time you go back to that state, remember, you never fixed the thoughts that created that state. Whether it was tiredness, because it's all in the mind. Whether it was tiredness, whether it was lack of joy, whether it was lack of motivation, lack of inspiration, you never fixed those thoughts. You took a substance and thought they were fixed, but those thoughts grow if you don't fix them, because your perception must grow in whatever area it's going. It must either go that way or that way, whether it's positive or negative, backward or forward, it's got to go somewhere. So your thoughts are constantly growing into this nut, right? Your thoughts are constantly growing. You're not fully aware of that. And so you come back to the real you, which is without that drug, and you say, oh, I'm so miserable, I need that thing. Oh, it's the thing that made me addicted. And sometimes physically you do become addicted to something. But remember, physical is controlled by the mind. But it's the thing that made me addicted, and then it's not the thing. Or we were talking about the thing that made me miserable. It's not making you miserable. You're just revealing that you had misery that kept growing in a misery direction, and you never solved it. Because if I'm someone that believes X, X, and X, and that state makes me miserable, and I just drink coffee, nothing has changed my beliefs. It's just changed my physical state. If I eat X and X and I become sick, and I take a pill that removes my pain, or removes my headache, or removes my this, or makes me more energized, nothing has changed about what I'm doing on the math equation side. I'm eating this X burger and this X French fries, and it's making me feel this X way. Nothing's changed about that. I'm just taking a pill that's covering it up. Now when I go back to that disease state, because now I got to keep taking more and more pills, or I got to take these 2 pills every day in order to, that's the illusion. The pill's the illusion. Now when I go back to the realer state of where I really am at when I eat those burgers and those fries, I realize how miserable it is. And when I've gotten so hooked on that other state, it becomes night and day difference that, man, I was miserable.
So what do?
You stop taking the drugs, you address where the misery's at, and this lends the point about the whole distraction. We distract ourselves with so many things away from our spirituality. We're so miserable. Damn near everybody on this planet is extremely miserable. Maybe not by definition of some, but by definition of your spirit, by definition of a higher aspect of yourself, by definition of the higher entities, higher evolved dimensional beings, We are some miserable people. We're very unhappy. We're crazy. That's why we're war. That's why we don't have a week where we don't have a negative feeling. Most of us. What you do is you work on how to process your catalyst. If it's your positive being, you got to work on how to forgive, which is just letting go, understand you're all as one, understanding that there's nothing to forgive. You go through acceptance. You go through how to appreciate things, people. If you're upset with your wife, what did she do good? What about her do you appreciate? And if you're going through a divorce, what about your marriage do you appreciate? How did it change your life? You go through those series. But if you're taking a drug all the time and you never have to deal with how to stop thinking that way, how to stop feeling that way, and the drug just makes you feel happy, you never address it. You go throughout your whole life growing in that attitude. Because if your child gets to grow up, play a game, do whatever they want, right? They're going to grow more and more into attitudes. That's why when a child, or when you talk to your boss a certain way, or when you do something, what happens? Everybody wants to put a stop to that attitude right away and show you this is unacceptable. Because you give someone an inch, they take a yard, they take 20 feet. It's the same thing with the mind. You give the mind an inch into a certain direction of thoughts, it grows. Even if it's unconscious, it will grow. Because while you're under the influence of that pill, that drug, whatever, which is you running away from yourself, doing your best to, but you can't. While you're under the influence of that, you're still thinking things that make you as miserable as you were before. And you're thinking them even more now because you're not even aware of the pain that you're feeling, right? If I'm putting my hand in fire and I take a pain pill and I keep sticking my hand in the fire because now I don't feel the pain, my hand's burning more. If I actually felt that pain, I'd pull back. So if I could actually feel the pain of my depression without taking a drug, taking this, or even having a conversation that numbs the depression, if I had to be with myself, which is why most people can't meditate, because when they finally sit down and meditate truthfully, they have to deal with all those thoughts. If I actually have to deal with it, then I have two options. I can either deal with it or just admit how miserable I am and just be in that state. But most people just choose the drug. They choose the TV show, they choose the drug, they choose the new car, they choose the podcast episode, they choose the conversation, they choose the blame, they choose their money, and they run around in circles their entire life. And they acquire all these physical things potentially, and they never get anywhere because they never fully focus on their spirituality. They focus on something else, and that's what distraction is in this third density world, which is now becoming a fourth density world.
All right, all that said then, here's the thing about the spirituality. At what stage of a person's life does that come into being?
At the stage they want it to be.
Okay, so it's not going to be from birth then? Because that child coming into the world,
it's unlikely.
It's not conscious of all that stuff.
Well, they might be conscious of certain things.
Well, they will be. That's natural. That's why when they get slapped, they cry, right? So they're conscious of all that kind of stuff. But as far as getting the spirituality, when it comes into the person's life, like when they become that
it doesn't
point.
even come into your life. You call it in, and it's always there. It's just you're constantly distracted, and people are constantly forming your perception about what things are. As a child, you believe something, and then your parents form you out of that belief to believe, look, this is real, that's fake. Daddy, I had a dream that this happened. I want to tell you about my dream. And you grow up to no longer telling anybody about your dreams because they tell you how insignificant it is. Oh, it's just a dream. Don't worry about it. It's not real. Oh, okay, Daddy, Or your child believes in monsters. You tell them there are monsters. But maybe what he's trying to say is, I believe there's something in this room. I can't see it, taste it, feel it, or touch it, but I believe there's something in here. So maybe he's seeing it with a different eye. But does that make
To me, it would just be imagination.
And we talked about this already.
Right. I'm just saying that I wouldn't be seeing it, as you're saying that. You would just say, well, maybe you see something, and something is very real. I would just be the dad that says, this one go back to bed. It's just imagination.
And then that's what your parents did to you, and that's why you believe it's just imagination. That's why your imagination can't grow. You can't use it because it's just this. You've told yourself it's nothing, and it's just in your head. Therefore, the power that exists within it never works out for you. And so while you're imagining all these things all day long, creating all these circumstances for yourself, you keep saying, that's not real. And that's actually because a lot of people are, in some ways, they're trained that way, but some people are afraid of the things that they imagine.
Well, I mean, imagination is what drives a lot of artists, right? Because it's their imagination. They can sit there.
It drives everything.
No, I'm just saying, people, especially in the
president that's imagining power is imagining how he's going to start war with another country before he does. And so I think imagination in some ways is more real than this world, because you can actually experience more things in your imagination than you can in the world, and it feels real when you're imagining it. Not saying that, you know, I want to imagine. I'm not saying you don't attribute physical value in physical things. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying real is based on what you define as real. But everything you experience is a real experience to you. No one else. Because even this conversation, we're going to experience it differently. You're feeling one way, I'm feeling one way, but it's the same conversation. And then the people that are watching it are experiencing it differently. But what's real?
Well, we did define what's real to each person in the beginning here. So, but that's cool.
Might be a good closeout now.
It could be, but we still have not really, worked out the whole aspect of what could be joy then, right? Because to me,
contentment.
Yeah, but to me, it differs. It differs per person, right? Because a guy who's living on the street, right, homeless, quite fine digging from the garbage can, he laughs.
He might be, or he just might be too lazy to actually reach for it.
No, that's fine, but he's still happy about it. He says, man, today I
might not be happy about it. He might just feel like whatever.
But these are people who have lived former lives when they were in the system. Pretty much all of them. They were born somewhere and they grew up doing whatever, and then something went wrong and they just say, fuck it. I'm just gonna live here. Yeah, they don't mind fuck it on YouTube.
No, I'm just...
Oh, okay, because these guys hit it all the time.
No,
anyway.
I'm just making sure it's still recording.
Oh, okay. But anyway, I'm just making a point that that happiness that he feels, it's not contrived. He's just so happy now that I don't have to get up at 5 a.m. anymore to do shit, right? My food is in that trash can right there. I'm okay with that. So he has created this joy for himself where nothing will deter him. We look at him as lazy.
If he's a happy homeless. If he's a happy homeless person. Some people aren't happy homeless, but...
Well, I've never really sat and spoken with any of them. But I've seen it.
A lot of them are on drugs, signaling that they're still not happy.
How are you getting drugs?
What do you mean?
They ain't got cash. I'm talking about the ones
where there's a way, where there's a will, there's a way.
Sell some of his trash. Look, I'm just saying that I've seen some of them. I've seen some of them just absolutely nothing, and they're just sitting there, just laughing at nothing. You know what I mean? Gone, but they're just happy in that sense.
But people laugh all the time at work. It doesn't mean they're happy.
Well, no, these guys have nothing. The point I'm getting at is they have no care in the world, because it's our capitalist system that can bring us to these points of unhappiness and everything else that we do. So everything you're mentioning right there, it is still in the mind that can be controlled. What you're saying about the spirituality now, yes, but tapping into it to the point where you can change the world, as you were saying, that part of it is blowing everybody's mind. Because I don't see how any individual is going to tap into their spirituality and then reach the point where they change.
Yeah, you don't see electrons, but when you touch it, it's still...
No, I know, and I'm getting to the point where I'm saying the whole thing about changing the world.
Yeah.
Right? No, as you mentioned electricity, so then we could think of Tesla. He is imagination, because a lot of his stuff they say he did based only on his imagination. He just imagined how the coil would be turning, how power would be moving and all that stuff. He never saw it through, but it's his electricity changed the world. So in that sense, because his electricity changed the world.
When you're hearing someone through a phone, or watching this, right? When you're hearing someone's voice through a phone, it's a voice. It can change you, right? It can change what you do, think, and feel, because that other person at whatever end of the earth is talking to you through it. The imagination, in some ways, is a form of communication. So for Nikola Tesla, he was being communicated through his imagination, ideas that he wasn't creating through his imagination per se. He was just seeing them through his imagination and then recreating what he saw, and that's what, channeling that idea. And remember, the imagination is a place where it can be used for multiple things. It's not one thing. It can be used to imagine things that are not real, but everything you imagine is real in some way, shape, or form, in some dimension, in some infinite form. Yes, it can be used in that way as a placeholder to let me draw this up, see how this is, and then be done. It can be used to actually manifest things in this world or increase the possibility of experiencing that parallel experience, and so on and so forth. But what I'm saying is why wouldn't it change the world? Everything that we've experienced nowadays is came from our imagination. This iPad was one day a long time ago, it was someone's imagination, and they made it into what it is. It's just that what you're saying is we haven't been able to imagine it and proof make it happen.
Well, that's what I was getting from it when you were saying somebody can just use their imagination to just
But what
change.
if? Well, but that too, and that's a different level of power. But what if at the level of power we are, because we believe so much in physicality, which we believe in 1 + 1 = 0 or equals 2, 1 + 3 = 4. We believe in so much of that concept because we're so physically oriented that what if the only way for our imagination to operate, because it operates through our belief system, we manifest things through our belief system, what if the only way to do that is to say, oh, I figured out through X and X how to put this iPad together and make a device that can give me all the information I want through an AI system, blah, 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 by doing X, 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 and X. It could just appear, but you don't believe that that's the way things happen, so therefore it doesn't just appear. It has to work through your level of belief and the mass consensus belief. Okay. Some things, in a way, do just appear. You just don't believe they are just appearing. You think of a bird and the bird flies to you. It could be coincidence because there's birds in this world. There's clouds in this world. Every time you think of a cloud, when you look up, there's going to be a cloud. But sometimes how do you know it's not as accurate as you think it is? That's all I'm saying.
Because, alright, so we'll take it another time to another point.
Yeah, man. And we have to figure out our name, and we'll figure out the name very soon after this podcast.
Big things.
You know, but righteousness, liberty, and love.
You're welcome to the very first podcast.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out. This is my last shout out. First of all, countries. My mom's from Virgin Islands, St. Thomas. My dad is from Jamaica. My grandpa, my mother's father, is from Trinidad. That's all I know. And you know, big things and all that. Yeah. I'm from Tampa, Florida, so a lot of vibes in there. Okay, nothing fake or go on. Accent, it's not real, but real enough. You know? And then Virgin Island thing, you know, don't really have that still, but it's in the blood. And then the Trinidad thing, come on, in the blood. So
all there.
Jamaica, Peter's Jamaican thing. You know? So God bless you all. Hopefully we just gave you some insight. And maybe we're not supposed to give you exact clear answers, but we're supposed to jog up your mind enough to where you can make the answers up for yourself. God bless you. May the one infinite creator be with you.
Them flow with a sacred grace. Mountains them chant from the holy place. The lion roar for the youth them free. Justice for all and equality. Divine them twine. The roots them deep. Truth in the wind. It never sleep. Wear the crown of nature upon your head.